Hey, everybody, this is episode 14 of the Sonic Road podcast. Today's guest is the rock band Handsome Jack out of Buffalo, New York. They happen to be one of my favorite bands over the last 10 years or so. I usually describe them as a good mix between somebody like Howlin Wolf and the Rolling Stones, maybe with a little CCR sprinkled in there as well. You can find all things Handsome Jack on their website, handsomejackmusic.com. Additionally, they have some tour dates coming up, one being June 12th in Buffalo, New York at Fountain Plaza, and June 13th in Akron, Ohio at Jilly's Music Room. They'll be on tour this summer, and you guys can find their vinyl, t-shirts, and everything at their website as well. So we hope you guys dig it. Check it out. It's Handsome Jack. It's cool.
No, it's cool. Awesome. I watched, I can't remember his name, but the new drummer from All Them Witches, I watched that episode. That was really cool.
Yeah. Christian's great.
And the one with, what's his name, from Rival Sons.
Oh, yeah. Miley, maybe something.
Yeah.
I saw some clips from the episode with the guitar player from The Sword. That was cool.
Oh, yeah, Kyle. Kyle was on my last podcast. He was on like 2 or 3 times, so we've become friends, I guess. I've never met him in person, but hopefully when they come to Cleveland in the fall, we'll do a live podcast. I want to do these live as much as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Like my last podcast, I would just go to the venues, or just hook up with management, and they'd usually let me in, and we'd do them backstage and stuff. So I'm gonna try and do more of that. I've done only one of those on this one with our producer, Dave Hillis, who's actually out in Pittsburgh, and they're killing it out there, man. There's a couple like multi-million-dollar studios out there, and they're pretty reasonably priced too. And then Dave's working out there. He's got the tape machine from London Bridge Studios in Seattle back in the day. It's all over there with the Studer tape machine and a Neve board and stuff. It's killer, man. But
sweet.
Yeah, it's been good. He's a great guy. We're pretty tight and pretty good friends. So there's a lot of music in this area for sure. There's a lot of things going on. Everything's spread out.
Yeah.
You got a sheepdog shirt on, man.
You actually being from Ohio.
Oh
yeah.
It's an old school sheepdog shirt.
Yeah,
too.
they're solid.
We played with them we played with them a bunch of times, but this was like going way back. I don't even remember how old this shirt was, but I think we just like traded t-shirts or something way back in the day.
Yep, that's the shit. What were you saying, Benny? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, our friends from Ohio, they're more from Cincinnati, but I don't even know if they play anymore, and label mates, the Buffalo Killers. I don't know if you were familiar with those guys.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned them that I talked
to. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Now they're like the backup band for the Black Keys. Like they're the bass and like they have a bass and lead player.
That's right.
Whatever. And they're like the players for the Black Keys now, but they have a band of Buffalo Killers that are from Ohio. So they're.
Yeah, I've ran into Dan and Pat from the Keys. They used to live here. They were from here. They're from Akron.
Yeah.
And we used to run into them here and there. They don't know who I am, but I actually just saw Dan last fall in the Metro Parks out here. We just walked right by me and my girlfriend. I was like, "Do you know who that is?" And she's like, "No." It's like, "That's Dan from." I didn't bother him because he had his kids and shit with him. So, but pretty fun. Yeah, we used to run into them back in the day. It's pretty crazy how big they got. They were playing small venues and they played David Letterman, and then it was just gangbusters.
No, I know. That was crazy. I saw him a small venue in Buffalo, and then like Mohawk Place or something, and then next time they're in arenas. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was a number of years they started playing theaters, and I remember we saw them once, and they were getting out packs of Camel cigarettes at the door before they banned smoking in Ohio. It was like, everybody's smoking cigarettes. Bygone era, man.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty rock and roll.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you guys came on because we're huge fans. I've been a fan since Do What Comes Naturally. I think I saw you guys, I think it was that tour with All Them Witches at the Grog Shop. That was the first time I saw you.
Yeah.
That's a very cool spot, yeah.
Been a fan ever since. Benny, were you on that record? I was trying to figure that out, but
I didn't play on that record, but I was on that tour. I joined like right after.
That's right, because you played that show. I remember that.
Yeah.
But it looked like there was somebody else on the record
cover,
the album cover, yeah.
Yeah, I joined shortly after that. Actually, I'm from the area originally up here, but I was playing in Nashville for a while. I moved down there.
Okay.
And I actually filled in a tour with all this before they were like very popular, like Robbie, their old drummer, busted his arm because he was like an arborist or something crazy, like cutting down trees.
Yeah.
And so I did a little tour with them, and that's how we like made that connection with those dudes. So that was awesome, getting to fill in.
Yeah, that's great. They're one of my favorite bands of the last 15 years, probably. I'm obsessed with them. Obsessed with you guys.
Oh yeah,
King Buffalo, all those guys are
yeah.
fantastic. I go see
Those dudes are our buds, King Buffalo. We're super tight with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've talked to
They only live an hour.
Yeah, you guys are in, what is it called? It's Lockport?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just tell me, like,
Yeah, Rochester, maybe an hour,
oh, it's an hour away. Oh,
something like that. Yeah, pretty close down the road. Yeah.
thought I lost you there for a second. Yeah, that's cool. Let's go back to the beginning. Give me you guys' origin. You know what's weird is I was thinking about this the other day because I'm listening to a lot of bands that I'm really obsessed with. I've been listening to a bunch of bands from Europe, and as streaming has become so popular, like the lore of a lot of bands and the stories we miss out on, and it's just music focused, which is great. But you guys fall into that category, man. That's one reason why I'm having all these bands on that I listen to, because I don't know your story. I know the music. I've seen you guys live, but let's start at the beginning and kind of go through the beginning of the band and just tell the folks your story, because I think one of the things that's frustrating is that I think, and my friends think, is you guys should be huge. And we need to really spread the word. That's the goal. And as this podcast grows and as you guys grow and your fan base grows, I think it's good to just stick together and promote the hell out of each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, how'd you guys?
Yeah, we started. So yeah, back in our high school days, which is going back quite a long ways. Like, I think to date myself here a little bit, we graduated high school in 2003, and we started the band. I probably 2001 or 2002 or something like that, when we were in high school, and just our one buddy at the time, his folks lived right across the street from the high school. And after school, we just go down in his basement. His brother had a drum kit, and we just go down there and jam and just try to learn some covers and whatnot. And I think Joe, our bass player, he was like, we were friends with him and he played guitar. We're like, okay, you're on bass now. And our other buddy were like, have you ever played drums before? No. It's like, well, you're on drums now. And so we just, started down in the basement, just jamming, learning cover songs and whatnot. And eventually then we started doing a couple like high school parties and whatnot, like backyard parties. And we even entered like the high school talent show, which we didn't win. And
that's wrong.
What's that?
I said, that's wrong. You should have won.
No, well, we were terrible.
Yeah.
But that was the cool kind of thing, is that we were just learning our instruments together for fun at the time, just kind of learning as we went. And like, we had I think our first like recording device, we had a little Tascam. I think it's called like a MK 424 or 414, which is like a little 4-track cassette recorder. And like, we started working on our own songs and recording them on this little cassette recorder. And I think we still have it kicking around somewhere. And just really terrible, distorted sounding recordings, but it's fun. And I think that's a great way to learn, is to be able to record yourself and listen back and stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And I think eventually we moved out of the basement and moved into someone's garage and stuff. And we just kept going. And we started with a different drummer, but then, like we said, now we've been playing with Benny
since 2016.
At least 10 years or so now. And when we first started, we were a 4-piece. We had another guitar player, but then he switched over to playing some keys, but he ended up getting married. He got a serious job and he's got kids and stuff. So this is going way back still. And then he was like, I can't put in the time anymore. We're like, well, that's understandable. And, but yeah, we just kept at it, and we try to get better and learn with every album that we do. And we just stuck with it. And eventually, we hooked up. But that was one of our first bigger steps. Was we got introduced to those dudes in the Buffalo Killers. They were on a tour coming through the area. I think they played like Rochester one night. The next night they played Buffalo at Mohawk Place, which is a well-known venue in Buffalo. And we went. I don't remember if we opened up that show or maybe not, or if we just met them that night. But then we ended up becoming good friends and taking trips out to Ohio and jamming with them and opening up for them every time they would come to Buffalo. And they were on this label based out in California called Alive Records. And we were working on a new album, and Zach, the bass player from Buffalo Killers, and I was sending him some of the tracks, and he was like, "Oh man, this is really cool." I said, "What would you think? You come out to Cincinnati, my buddy, he's got a really cool recording studio." I'm not sure, it's in a different location now. I'm not sure if it's still Cincinnati, but his name is Mike Montgomery, and he plays in a couple different bands over the years. His recording studio is called Sofa Burn. And he's, yeah, come out to this studio. And it was actually a funny story. It was actually like the back room of a doggy daycare. Like we just slept on the floor in the studio for a couple days, just a weekend, and recorded in this doggy daycare because it was empty on the weekends. And anyways, through Zach and the Buffalo Killers, he talks to this guy, Patrick Boycell, who is the guy that kind of runs Alive Records. And they're the do-it-yourself label, I guess. They're not like huge, but well-known for putting out the Black Keys first record. And so Zach kind of vouched for us, and Patrick at Alive Records dug the album. And so that's how we hooked up with Alive Records. And then through Alive Records, we ended up, eventually he hooked us up with a booker over in Europe. And so that was the first time we started going over there and stuff. And that kind of opened some other doors for us. So really owe a lot to those guys for helping us out in the early stages.
Yeah. Was it, what year was that where you hooked up with Alive?
That was for that Do What Comes Naturally album. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what year that came out, but that
2014 maybe
2014, something like that. So that was our first recording that they put out for us. And then, yeah, we've had an ongoing relationship with them ever since. And yeah, it's been a big help.
Yeah, that's great. I think I'm trying to remember the first time I heard you, and I think it was the band. You guys know the band Crowbot?
Oh
yeah.
They actually tweeted "Do What Comes Naturally," and I was just happenstance just clicked on it and started listening, and that's how I started listening to you guys back in 2014. That's right. When you said 2014, I was like, that story came back to me. But you guys are still doing work with Alive. How is it being on a small label like that these days with all the independent bands going independent? Do they hook you up with the booking agents, but do they distribute your record everywhere, or is it just in America, in Europe, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, they have international distribution. I believe that the company they go through is called Red Eye. And I think they're based in, they have their main warehouse, I think, is in North Carolina. We actually visited there once, and it was really cool getting to go through the warehouse, and like they hooked us up with a bunch of vinyl and samples and stuff like that, a bunch of cool CDs. But yeah, they're international and stuff, so that helps with distribution and whatnot.
Yeah.
And also just other things, recording expenses. Like lately, the past couple albums, we've been doing it ourselves in our own studio, which we're sitting in right now. But like recording expenses and initial pressing of vinyl and stuff, which gets us pretty expensive and whatnot. So yeah, they've helped out in a lot of ways. And even on our travels, the Alive office is out in Burbank, California. So we got to stop by there and meet Patrick and check out the headquarters and everything. So that was cool to get to meet in person and whatnot. And
give us a bunch of vinyl.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I want to get back to the self-recording thing, but before we do that, like let's go to the next record. So Everything's Gonna Be All Right took it to the next level, songwriting as far as the fan goes. I mean, the first record was great, and then this one just really took it to the next level. I know you guys worked with Ben McLeod from All Them Witches. That dude just rips on guitar. He's one of my favorite guitar players.
Yeah.
I know he produces. He has his own studio down in Florida. How was it like working with Ben, and how is he as a producer of a band and such?
It is awesome working with him. He's such a cool dude. He's like the kindest, nicest dude, and super talented. But you'd never know because like he's also awesome at surfing. It's like almost unfair. Yeah. Like I can only drum, but he's like a super cool dude and a really great producer. And it was awesome working with him. They actually came up here and set up in our studio here, and we recorded it. And it was what time? It was like fall, so it wasn't brutal here either way. So
Right.
because we have a tendency to only record when it's either super hot or super cold. But the weather was perfect for that one, and everything worked out great. And it was super cool. He stayed up here. He stayed at our bass player Joe's house. I stayed in the studio. I lived here because I live like a half an hour away in Buffalo. I lived here with my dog in the studio. It was a really cool time. It was awesome.
You guys just pretty much cut it live?
Yeah. We record everything like the bass, drums, and like guitar, like track live.
We did vocals afterwards, which we tend to do. We try to do all the instrumentation live together at the same time, but then we did the vocals separate.
Yeah. That's how we do it mostly like that too. What was his approach as a producer? Was he pretty hands off, or was he part of the structuring of the songs a little bit? Did he just give some advice, or just pretty much turn knobs? Was he jumping in, you guys?
Definitely gave advice, and he would the songs were pretty much already written, and we had them super well rehearsed because we only had a small amount of time doing it live. So for that record, it was like we rehearsed and knew the songs. But I think we did make some small changes. You'd be like, hey, take this out, put this in. How about some organ here? We had somebody come in and do some organ. We had our buddies come in and do some horns on that record. So yeah, no, but he was really on the technical side. We were doing like the John Glenn's, did I say it backwards? I always say the wrong way. Yeah, John Glenn's set up for the drums. Like he was like measuring them out, and it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, we should mention. So it was Ben McLeod. He was producing, and then our other buddy, and he's done a lot of live sound with all them, which is like on tour, and also with King Buffalo. His name is Grant Husselman, and so he brought a bunch of his mics and stuff, and he was the recording engineer. And so between Grant and Ben, they took care of all the technical side and everything. And we recorded, at that point, we had a Tascam 388, and that's what we've been using since. But at the time, Ben McLeod had one too. And like he brought his Tascam as well. We ended up just using ours, but
backup.
But yeah, just in case.
We had two. So that was cool for a minute.
But yeah, he was just really supportive and very helpful on vocal takes. And it'd be like, I don't know, do you think? He'd be like, yeah, that was a good take, or you might want to retake that or something. But it was very supportive and just like good vibes. And I think that's pretty clutch as a producer, just to keep everyone in the right frame of mind. And it was awesome experience. Awesome dude.
Forgive my ignorance, a Tascam 388. And the reason why I ask is because your records sound analog. Is that an analog machine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 1/4 inch reel to reel, but it has a mix. It's like really simple to use, which is nice. It's all the mixing and the faders and everything. It's all in the same unit. So it's really easy routing and everything like that. Just really, super easy to operate. And it's kind of like once you get it set to go, it has that really nice warmth and everything to it. And I think going back to when I said like the first recording device we started using for ourselves was like a Tascam 4-track cassette recorder. Yeah. And then at some point, I think we're like, you know what, those recordings had a certain charm to them. Yeah. And we broke that out again. We're like, that sounds really cool. What if we need to upgrade slightly from a 4-track cassette recorder? So we're looking around, and it seemed like the 388, it's an 8-track tape recorder. Okay. So we're like, I think this is going to be the thing for us. So we ended up tracking one down, and they were relatively cheap at the time. I know they're getting like more and more expensive as the years go by, but really has a nice analog warmth to it. And like even for the vocals, we like crank the levels up a little bit and kind of record in the red a little bit to add a little bit of that natural tape compression, tape distortion, and things like that. And just a couple things that I'm sure you can get plugins that replicate that, but it might not sound exactly the same.
I would think that the disparity between the two is getting pretty close together.
Right.
I think it's a feel and a vibe. I'm talking with Dave Hillis a little bit about that when we were in the studio mixing one of our songs. We had a really good conversation about tape and digital and how it's getting pretty close. You can get the sound, but he articulated it and he's like, but yeah, you're getting the particles in the room when you have a tape machine roll. And he said something to that effect. And it might not make sense or be objective, but it's like that it does make sense. Like for whatever reason, you're getting the vibes in the room, you're getting the air around the mics, you know, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did you guys, so using the Tascam, that's probably how you guys learned how to record yourselves, and moving on from Ben after that record, you probably learned some things from him and from the other folks. Did you record Get Humble on your own completely?
We recorded it with our buddy Grant, who we also worked with on Everything's Gonna Be All Right. He came up with Ben. This time we just worked with him, and we did it in our space again on the Tascam. And we did it, and it was like the middle of summer, and we have our space is in an old radiator built. Like we used to make radiators for General Motors here,
Right.
And now it's just split up into people that had shops or whatever. We have a studio here. Regardless, it was so a wall of box fans and stuff. It was crazy, and we were using some computer stuff with that one. Initially, we were putting on the tape and then bouncing it down. It was so hot up here, his computer kept like shutting down while we were recording. It was insane.
Yeah.
We're on the third floor and it's all concrete.
Yeah.
So it starts to heat up up on the third floor. It gets very hot.
It's not AC up here.
Right. It gets very hot in the summer and then very cold in the winter time.
Yeah. Well, it is heated, although we had issues with. Well, yeah, that record we did it with just like our buddy Grant, just because we didn't feel comfortable enough doing it all on our own yet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have somebody. And
then COVID happened too during that one. COVID happened during that one when we had to go finish it. It was like it interrupted that record too. That would have happened. That record would have been done a little sooner if not for COVID, for many reasons. But yeah,
I just listened to Get Humble again. I listen to it all the time, but I listened to it before the interview, and the difference between Everything's Gonna Be All Right to Get Humble, it seems like it was a little more sprinkled. The soul, it reminds me of maybe a little bit more Motown-y, I guess.
Yeah, we love that.
Was that a conscientious decision to button up the songs a little bit in that fashion?
I think so. Yeah, I think we just we touched on a little bit of that stuff, I guess, with Everything's Gonna Be All Right, with Baby Be Cool, and Why Do I Love You the Way I Do. And then I feel like, with Get Humble, we did try to explore, go a little bit more, try a couple songs that were a little bit more in that vein. And we even try to, a couple of different things that were just new for us. Yeah.
Yeah. We thought that we wanted to do more at the horns. We really liked that. We did a little bit of that on Everything's Gonna Be All Right. So we're like, oh, more of that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, worked out great. I don't know which one's my favorite because I'm always bouncing back and forth. But yeah, man, it's really two killer records, man. How do you guys the lyrics specifically? Do you write all the lyrics, or do you guys collaborate on those? And how do you?
Not all of them. I guess, we do collaborate. And for example, like on the new record, Benny wrote the lyrics to one, Joe wrote the lyrics to one, but a lot of times people contribute to a couple lines here, things like that. And so it is, collaborative effort, I'd say.
Well, the last time I saw you, we were like watching, and for a 3-piece, there's so much sound coming out of 3 dudes because you guys are all singing. So, but the lyrics are so cohesive. Like, what inspiration are you drawing from when you're writing? It's probably different for everything. Every song is different, but the sound itself sounds so cohesive. How do you draw inspiration to write lyrics?
Well, for me, I know for Joe, it's a little bit different, but I think maybe for me and Benny, it's kind of like, or at least for me, I know we'll come up with the music first, and I will just kind of be while working on the song or whatever. But then when it comes to writing the actual lyrics, kind of like let the vibe of the music inform what the lyrics content should be about. So hopefully, so that they fit together. Try to let the music tell you what kind of vibe it should be, and generally just keep it like simple and don't try to overthink it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of times some of those mumble scratch lyrics, sometimes a lot
of that.
a lot of those lines end up sticking just because it, for whatever reason, subconsciously, whatever sentence first came to mind just seemed to fit well and fit the vibe and the syllables fit and everything. So a lot of times those scratch vocal mumble lines, a couple of them end up making it through to the final lyrics, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It does. You can have one line and it can just flow pretty freely. Like I've seen that happen, and I write a little bit myself, so sometimes you just get a little stuck, and it just takes a few words, like you said, the mumble words, and then it all kind of pieces together. It's weird how that works out. Do lyrics generally and arrangements come pretty quickly, or do songs like take some time? Sometimes some songs are more cantankerous. I know from my experience too. We have a batch of stuff that's sitting, and we'll go back to it, and we've been working on it for years, and then we just put it to the side because it's the arrangement isn't there right yet, or something just isn't right. So you got to walk away from it and come back, and then it's more clear. Does that happen to you guys?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say same goes for lyrics as goes for the music. The new record, which we're just finishing up mixing now, one of the songs was a riff that I've had for years.
Yeah.
But I really like the riff, but then I think I would just I would overcomplicate it. It would be like, what's the chorus going to be? And I would just overcomplicate things. And then the way we ended up finally doing it was like just very, very simple. And I think it suits the song and the style really well. And so, yeah, sometimes you're sitting on a riff for a while and you're like, oh, it's a really cool riff, but yeah, it's not sure which direction or whatever it's trying to go in. And then with lyrics, I feel like just sometimes coming up with the premise or something like that you can bash your head against the wall for a while and just struggle to write any lyrics until you have one line or a phrase or something, and then the light bulb goes off, and then you're all of a sudden you're inspired. Yep, that's it, and then it starts flowing.
Yeah, the premise is once you get that, you can bunch and just pick out the best stuff and make little changes. But yeah, that's always the hardest. It's like, man, so many people have sung about this thing or whatever. But well, that's fine sometimes. You can only sing about that. You don't want to get. We generally try to be like positive with our overall lyrics too. Though. That it's just every song's different. What's funny, we did this, we just finished a record, we're mixing it. And this one, it's sometimes just about the vibe. Like this one was a total different experience. We were like writing the songs as we were recording them pretty much. And so it was taking a little longer to do tracks. But it was cool. But I know for one song, we had it, we're like, this is good. This is good. And then we're like, well, let's do another one. And then we do another one, and we leave, and we think it's done. And then the next day we come in, and we're like, you know what? Let's do it again. And the vibe was just off. It's like technically sounds good. Everything's good. It's just like the vibe wasn't there for some reason. You do it again. So sometimes you just like doing the song, just trying to catch that vibe, that magic of recording live, which we do, that could be sometimes the hardest spot, especially when the songs aren't rehearsed and you're like writing them in the studio.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun to make this new one.
Yeah, man. Lyrics, the older I get, the more I'm paying attention to phrasing. And I'm a drummer. I'm dabbling in guitar, just constantly trying to just chase a muse that I haven't found yet. But a lot of lyrics. And I've been listening to interviews with Chris Robinson from the Crows and Neil Fallon from Clutch. And I know Chris, he number one, he reads all the time, and then he's been journaling for the entire, as I understand it. This could be maybe a little incorrect, but from the interviews, he has said he has journaled the entire career of the Black Crows. He always has something, phrases, a paragraph, or like a poem or something to that effect, and he's always drawing out of those journals. Do you guys do things like that too? I found that really interesting, how that he works those lyrics out that way. And then some of the early versions of Black Crow songs, if you ever heard them, the lyrics are completely different, but they're not completely, but there's a few of the same lines and some different phrases. So you see the early versions of that. Do you guys do some things like that sometimes?
I don't journal, but you know what's helped me honestly is like the little note thing in my fucking phone. I know it's annoying when you're on your phone, but like that note thing is like a good tool. If I get like a line or an idea, I have like folders of like lines and ideas, like and melodies. I'll hum melodies into the voice memo. Those two things are like, because I will not remember. I'll be like, I know I've done it a million times. This is a sweet idea. I'm never gonna forget this. And 1 hour later, I'm like, fuck, I forgot it.
Yeah.
So I try. That is like the biggest thing for me.
Yep.
It's just keep my ideas down because you forget stuff. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
On my notepad, on my phone, I might write down like phrases or something I think sounds cool, especially while working on a song. Like I'd be like, oh yeah, like that could sound cool. But journaling, no, I don't really like journal so much, or work out lyrics and then fit the music to that. I don't know. I've never been one to work in that way, but definitely just little phrases and things like that I will copy down and try to remember. And say what Benny says, a lot of like voice memo stuff, like sometimes like really late at night if you're out or something, like I'll be like, oh, like I have an idea in my head, I'll record it. Sometimes it's cool, and sometimes listen to the next day like, oh, that is
that's
so
like,
dumb.
man, too many beers the night before.
Yeah.
It was cool.
All the time. I'm like, I had something cool last night. So I better delete this for new years.
Right.
Yeah, that's the good part about the technology is if you use it correctly, that's what it's for. You should use it to document what it is you're doing, not just look on Instagram all the time. So can you
thing that
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one thing that I realized I like to do with lyrics over the years is I feel like the lyric kind of depends on the melody too, a little bit, like using like phrasing and whether the melody is going up or down, like trying to fit lyrics that fit like the melody of natural conversation that you would have, like inflections in your voice and things like that. I feel like helps to make everything flow a little bit better, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, strangely, I do. Yeah, and you saying that, like listening back to the songs, that makes total sense. Yeah, that's interesting, man. Yeah, for sure. Can you guys talk about the new record at all, or you just keep it in under wraps, or what's the plans for that?
Oh, absolutely.
No, we can totally talk about it.
Yeah, we're super excited for this one.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a little bit, and we didn't tour a lot this last few months or play too many shows. We've really been working on it, so we're pretty stoked about it.
Cool. Yeah, this one, I guess for this one, we've always had heavy blues influence and things, like always love just classic blues guys, whether it's Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, and Elmore James, and Jimmy Reed, and all those and like hill country blues and
absolutely, yeah, me too, man.
Stuff, all that kind of stuff, and Junior Kimbrough. And so I guess for this record, we're like, in the past, our records, I guess, have been, we've had, here's a heavy song, this one's a little bit more Motown-y, this one's a little bit, it's got more of a country vibe or gospel feel to it. This one, we're like, let's do a very cohesive sound, and just, so this one's like more stripped down. There's just one guitar track, there's no overdubs, and it's just very more blues oriented. There's a couple of them that are just vamps on like the one chord kind of boogie chugal thing, but then there's a couple that do have your standard 3-chord blues changes, things like that. So this one I'm excited about because it's really stripped down and getting back to our roots, and just just very, very strong blues influence on this one.
That'll be probably really good live too, because you guys are only 3.
Right.
Probably gonna make it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in the game, have you tried to find a keyboard player or something? Because we fantasize about it all the time. We can't never find anybody like that because we're a 3-piece too, but there's an element kind of missing we're starting to notice, and it's trying to fill in those gaps. It's, man, because our guitar player, he plays like we need a rhythm player. So it's hard to find people these days that really kind of fit into the mold of what you already had. Do you guys ever think about adding like a keyboard player again or anything like that, or are you just going to keep it stripped down and simple?
Sometimes for local shows, we'll have a buddy, like our friend Harold, he'll play some keys. He's played on a couple of our records. And then that guy, Evan, he also played on some of our records. We never played live with him before though, but yeah, sometimes local we'll get the horns and keyboards live, but
Oh,
we never really can take anyone on the road,
yeah, that's tough.
fortunately.
Yeah. How is
But yeah, we would love a keyboard player. They're hard to find, and we're like dedicated, and it's hard to find people.
Yeah.
And
it is?
keyboard's the coolest. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it is hard, man. It's a hard life to try and talk people into going out on the road and doing the big stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Big commitment. Yeah, time.
Yeah, and now that we're all 29, it's
Yeah.
hard to
Me
it's
too.
hard to find people our age that like can do that. Most people
Right.
our age have kids that are like
And-
10 years old now.
yeah.
So
Jobs and family.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit
So-
older, and all my friends' kids are old now, so they're 18.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you don't have any excuse. Let's go out and tear this up. They look at me like I'm crazy, man. But it's like, come on, go get in a band again. I think since COVID, like our scene has really changed. It's weird getting older and being a musician. I've been doing it my whole life, 35 years or whatever. I'm older than that, but playing for that long, and the scene has changed a lot. We don't know anybody after COVID. We emerged from COVID, and everybody's gone. So now that
Yeah.
more music venues are opening up in Cleveland and stuff, are trying to get back out there and try to make relationships with people, and it's all new people. So it's been bizarre.
yeah.
But
At
what I
first,
appreciate about
right after COVID, shows were awesome and everything was crazy for maybe the first couple years, but now I notice a difference. Maybe people are just used to it now. Whatever.
yeah,
It's still good, but I do remember right after COVID, it was crazy. Like people couldn't wait to come out to shows.
yeah. Well, I was one of them. I was doing it during. I was like, I called the venue.
Oh yeah, we were getting together recording all COVID, so we
Yeah.
pretty much were here.
Yeah, we did a lot of our work during COVID too, but it's good to be getting back out. How is touring life for you guys? When we'll say like between the United States and Europe, because you guys have been out to Europe a bunch. What's the difference in the crowds out there between here and the culture shifts and all that stuff? How does the band flow through those channels, I guess, if that makes sense? Like is there more of an interest in Europe for that kind of music or the United States, I guess?
For us, I'd say Europe, or at least maybe in Europe, they treat bands better, like venues and just overall you
Right.
you treat a little better in Europe. When you tour in Europe, they generally will. They pay better. They'll put you up in a hotel. They feed you. There's usually sometimes just like a big meal. Everyone that works there gets together. It's cool. Everyone gets together on a big table, eat a meal together. You're hanging out with the sound guy. And it is a little culturally different, obviously. But the funny thing is, it is so much the same. We're always like, you can barely understand this guy, but we're laughing with him. And we're like,
Yeah.
man, if we were home, we would be buds with this guy. Like, I know we don't quite get what we're saying, but yeah, things are different. But, people coming out to see rock and roll. It's funny. It's different, but the same. I know that's a cop out answer maybe, but yeah,
It makes sense.
It's so funny. We're like, this guy would be our bud.
Yeah, I know they love rock and roll out there. It's pretty wild. I know in America too,
Yeah,
man.
it's
It's just like a pocket kind of thing now. And I'm noticing a lot of bands like All Them Witches, they do it, and King Buffalo's still touring old school with the longer touring, but All Them Witches is going out on these pocket tours, I guess you would call them, where they go out for 10 days or 11 days and then go home and then go book another 10 or 11 days. Does that make sense for your business model too? It's kind of weekend warrior,
Yeah, especially for us in the States right now, we're still booking ourselves. So it's I guess a little bit of a better business model for us to book like shorter runs in the States and stuff like that. For Europe, we fortunately do have
Very long runs.
booking help over there now with this agency called Teenage Head, which has been awesome working with them. And I think the first big run we did with them was like 35 gigs or something like that, like 35 gigs in 40 days. And that was probably one of the longer tours we ever did, but it was the most fun time I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. We're
I
doing
think the next one, we're going back at the end of August, and it's going to be another long one. And we're really looking forward to that one. But for the States for right now, it seems like it's more feasible for us to do those shorter runs. We do want to get back out to the West Coast and everything again, and but the shorter runs are working for us right now.
Right on. Yeah, it's good to. I'm picking everybody's brain because I keep trying to push my guys out on the road a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, let's just do some weekend warrior stuff. It's a little hesitant, but it's. I don't have any kids, so it's easy for me. I'm just like, let's go. We can go out for 4 or 5 days. I don't care.
Oh, our other guy showed up.
Yeah,
Joe's
Joe's
here.
Oh, hey, Joe.
The bass
How's it going,
player.
man?
Joey. How's
How's it going, my man?
Join the party.
Well, I don't know how much longer we're going to be on, but I'm running out of questions. But we can just keep talking. It doesn't matter. How are you, man?
I'm good. I work at a local record shop downtown here in Lockport, and just got done with that. So,
Oh, nice.
my little side hustle. I'm not ultra cool all the time, and I have to work a real job.
We all do. I'm a manufacturing facility during the week, so the rock and roller during the weekend.
Yeah, there you go.
Your job's cooler than mine, that's for sure. Record stores, are you guys big vinyl guys? I would assume so, right?
Oh yeah, I have a huge vinyl collection. Yeah, but I started buying vinyl 15 years ago at Salvation Armies when they were like 25 cents, and anything you ever wanted was at Salvation Army. Now we sell. If you're not pressing vinyl now as a band, you're losing money. We sell tons of vinyl, brand new, and you can get $30 vinyl. So.
And a lot of places do it now too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's getting really wild out there because now there's on-demand vinyl. I don't know if you've seen this, so you don't even have to carry a lot of inventory. It's wild because like when a fan orders it, they make it and send it to them, but it's a little more expensive. But they're killer. Like I'll try to find the company and send it to you guys, but I can't remember the name right now. But it is like it's a double. You can do double gatefold with a spine and open it up. It's like the inside sleeve is printed with the lyrics and everything, and it's $40 or something. I was like, that's the way to go.
I know they do that. They've been doing that with like T-shirts for a long time, where you can made to order. Like you work through a company and they just print them as you sell them. Like
right. It takes the fun away a little bit, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
Damn shirt.
I like because most of our records are sold through Alive, the label, but there's some things that we sell on our little website, and I kind of like personalizing. Thanks for the support and like blah blah blah. Thanks for buying a record or a sticker or whatever you bought and sending it out to them. So that's cool. But yeah, you can lose a little bit of that, but I get the automated way. It's just easy money.
Yeah, you're sacrificing going to the store and looking for it for the convenience. But if everybody's more independent, I know you guys aren't a label, but you're probably running a lot of business on your own too, because there's not a lot of helping you, or these satellites like the labels used to have to do that. But that's where the technology is really helping all of us out that way. It's like we have opportunity, tools are there, you just got to use them. There's a really cool record store in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you guys, I know you've played there in Millvale. Oh man, it's called the Attic Records. Next time you go there, check that joint out. It's like they have my buddies. Have you been there?
I don't think so. But maybe.
You just go in there, man. It's wild. Because I think you guys played Millvale, right? It's by Mr. Small's Theater and all that stuff down there. I want to say you guys played out there one time. I can't remember now, though. I could be wrong.
I think the past few times in Pittsburgh, we've always been playing I believe it's like South Side, near like Carson Street area. I'm not sure if that's where Small's Theater is or not.
I couldn't tell you actually either right now. I'm in Ohio, of course, so I go out and visit. But there's this badass record store out there. It's 2 warehouses, but the other warehouse you don't have access to. But that warehouse is filled with records. I guess my buddy's friends with the owner, and he lets him go in there and just pick out whatever he wants. But it's like it's a treasure trove. Definitely go out there, and the prices are here.
We'll check it out next time in Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah, right on. So, new record. Do you guys know when that's coming out? It's obviously probably going to come out on Alive. What's the time frame for that?
Good question.
Well, yeah, we're just finishing up mixing now, so we still have to figure out mastering, and so we're going to be cutting it close. We have that European tour coming up starting August 22nd. So I don't know if we're going to have vinyl for that. We might have like a soft launch of the album where we may have CDs and stuff, but then we'll probably have an official release and have vinyl for probably the fall time, like once we get back to the States, and we'll do a official release party and everything like that, and a show in Buffalo and whatnot. So yeah, end of summer, fall time.
Right on. Just curious, do you guys ever think about like starting your own little imprint label somehow? Like, yeah, I know King Buffalo runs their own business too. I don't think they have a label name per se, but like something like what Clutch does, like they brand it. It's called Weathermaker or whatever they do, and really dive into the business side of it. Have you ever thought about doing that and signing other bands? I know it's a big overhead, it's dreaming, but
Yeah.
does that kind of thing appeal to you, or are you guys just pretty much strictly music based? That's the way to go too.
Our last album, we were in the same situation where we were promising an album for a tour, and then we ran behind, and that's what we like to do. We're always party to the party, but we ended up we put it out ourselves and creating our own label. But there are things that you miss with working with a label that's used to putting out records, and we worked with a PR guy, and I try to do all the things that, like you said, King Buffalo does it independently all themselves, and it's just, I talked to Scott King Buffalo often about it, and he was just like, once you get to a certain point, you really don't need a label, especially like one of these smaller labels, but it is helpful because they can front you money and distribution.
It's
Distribution
probably
is really the
about-
hard part.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about Red before.
Right. Yeah.
Good thing, last record we did ourselves, and we did a little later one at one, but
Well, we just made it a little.
Yeah. Yeah, the King Buffalo guys are impressive, man. I've talked to Sean twice on my last podcast, but I don't think I got into the business side of what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're obviously really smart. I just built this huge studio out in New York somewhere. I don't know where, but
They're doing it.
that's the house that Rock built. That's
Yep.
like the dream job right there. If you got four dudes that wanted, that want to bust some ass and do all the mundane part of the music business, like you said, Joe, signing the records and stuff. I think fans really appreciate that stuff, and it adds vibe to it when they get that in the mail. So I really appreciate that stuff from King Buffalo. And I saw J.R. Parks like back in February opening up for them, and I talked to him a little bit. He has his own solo album out, and I asked him, and I was like, hey man, like you got to put that on Spotify. And he was like, he got a little rigid. He's like, nope, I'm sick of that shit, man. I'm not dealing with that anymore. And a part of me was like a little bit bummed out because I want to listen to it in the car. But of course, we listened to it in the house. But it's that kind of stuff that's like, if you have the wherewithal to do the business side of it, and you already have the integrity with the art, like those two things marry perfectly. And those two bands and people like you guys are like blazing the way for even smaller bands like us. Just to you watch what you do and take ideas from what you guys are doing, because you're having success here and there. And it's, oh, that's a really good idea. Maybe we should adopt that. And maybe ignore the machine of the music business.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%. That's how we field our way through. It's just we're never going to be like pop star. We're 40. We're never going to be pop star. You know what I mean? But we can maybe make a living doing this now. So that's what we
Plan,
Yeah, to me personally, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like a definition of success anymore is first the art, like getting it out, like making something you're proud of, and then everything else. That's the icing on the cake, is everything else, and maybe getting 100 people in a room or 200 people in a room, and then whatever else comes after that is what comes. But you know what I appreciate about you guys is that you work hard, you go out and tour, and you're consistent. And the music's amazing. I tell everybody about you guys. I've been trying to sell Handsome Jack records. You know what I do? It's hard to describe. You know, they're like, who do they sound like? And I was like,
I know how hard it is.
I was like, I always tell everybody, like, you guys sound something like a mix of like Howlin Wolf and the Rolling Stones, if that's fair.
Cool. That's
Wow, I like that.
like that. Yeah.
Well, fellas, that's about all I have for now. When the new record comes out, let's keep talking. Maybe I'll get my guys on my line and we'll my side of it, and then we'll have a bigger conversation. These are always fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. And then, I'll see you guys on the 13th, and we'll try. We definitely have some people coming out, so it should be a really good show.
Awesome. Sounds
Looking
good.
forward to it, man. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to me, and I'll see you guys soon. Travel safe.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Easy.
Next week.